This story is titled, My Fiancée Tried to Humiliate Me at Our Wedding. So I pulled a bigger one by canceling everything. Now she's begging for another chance. Hey, everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Okay Reddit, this is gonna be a long one. I, 28 male, was supposed to marry my fiancée Amy, 27 female, last week. And honestly, I'm still trying to process everything that happened. We'd been together for 4 years, and I seriously thought she was my soulmate. I met Amy at my friend's BBQ party. She was this super outgoing girl who could light up any room she walked into. Not gonna lie, she was way out of my league. Smart, gorgeous, and could make anyone laugh. Our first date was actually hilarious. I took her to this fancy restaurant trying to impress her, but they messed up our reservation. Instead of getting mad, she suggested we go get hot dogs from this street vendor and eat them in the park. That's when I knew she was different. The first 3 years were amazing. Like the kind of relationship you see in those cheesy posts on r/relationships, where everyone calls it fake because it's too perfect. She was always there for me when things got rough. When I lost my grandpa last year, Amy took care of everything. Called my boss to get me time off, made sure I ate, even organized all the family stuff so I could just focus on grieving. She'd leave little notes in my lunch when I had big meetings at work. Once she even learned how to make my mom's lasagna recipe because she knew I missed home cook. Amy was also super fun to be around. We'd have these random adventure days where we'd just drive somewhere without planning anything. She taught me to stop being so serious all the time, to enjoy life more. My friends loved her because she always made our game nights more fun. But my sister, she never said anything. But I didn't see her get along with Amy. But that wasn't an issue. But things started changing about 6 months ago. It was small stuff at first. She started bringing up her ex Tom more and more. Like, we'd be watching TV and she'd randomly say, "Oh, Tom loved this show." Or, "Tom could never understand shows like this. He was so basic." At first, I didn't think much of it. Everyone talks about their exes sometimes, right? Then her pranks started getting worse. Amy always liked jokes and pranks, but they used to be fun ones we'd both laugh at. Like this one time she replaced all my socks with bright pink ones before an important meeting. It was funny because she knew I had these shoes where no one would see them anyway. But lately her pranks started feeling different, mean, almost. When I got this huge promotion I'd been working towards for 2 years, instead of being excited like she used to be about my wins, she gave this weird speech at my celebration, stood right there in front of my coworkers, my boss, and my parents, talking about how I probably just got lucky and my boss felt sorry for me. Everyone was just standing there awkwardly while she laughed. The old Amy would have never done that. She used to be my biggest cheerleader. The proposal is when I really started noticing something was off. I'd spent months planning it, saved up for this super fancy restaurant, got her favorite flowers, even had the restaurant help set up this special dessert thing with the ring. When I got down on one knee, she pretended she didn't want to marry me. For 5 whole minutes. Just sat there going, "Oh, I don't know," while everyone in the restaurant stared at us. When she finally said yes and laughed, saying it was just a joke, something felt wrong. The old Amy would have maybe played along for a few seconds, but she would have never let me sit there feeling stupid for that long. It's weird looking back now. The same things I used to love about her, her spontaneity, her sense of humor, her outgoing personality, started feeling different. Like she wasn't doing things to make us both happy anymore, but just to get attention or laughs from other people. Every time I tried talking to her about how her pranks were making me feel lately, she'd just say, "OMG babe, learn to take a joke," or, "Why are you so sensitive?" The old Amy would have listened. We used to be able to talk about anything. My best friend started noticing the change too. He'd say stuff like, "Dude, is Amy okay? She's acting different." But I kept making excuses because I remembered how great things used to be. Kept telling myself maybe she was just stressed about the wedding or work or something. The Amy I fell in love with was this amazing, caring person who made me want to be better. She'd surprise me with my favorite snacks when I was having a bad day. Remember random stuff I mentioned months ago, and always knew how to make me laugh when I was down. That's why it took me so long to notice when things started changing. When you love someone that much, you don't want to see the bad stuff. But man, the changes kept coming. Looking back now, I can see all these red flags popping up one after another. It's like watching a replay of a game where you already know the ending. All the signs are so obvious now, but when you're in the middle of it, you just keep hoping things will go back to normal. Anyway, about 2 months before the wedding, things got really weird. Like, the kind of weird where you know something's wrong but can't put your finger on. Amy started talking about her ex. I'll call him Tom. Way more than usual. She'd always bring him up in these backhanded compliment kind of ways. Like we'd be at dinner and I'd be telling her about this new project at work, and she'd go, "This is why you're so much better than Tom. He could barely handle basic math, and here you are managing million-dollar projects. Or we'd be grocery shopping and I'd be checking the nutrition labels, trying to eat healthy and all that. And she'd be like, Tom never cared about this stuff. He'd just grab whatever was cheapest. He was so simple. At first I thought maybe she was just trying to make me feel good or whatever, but it kept happening more and more. We'd be watching a documentary about space or something, and she'd say, Tom would never watch stuff like this. It was too complicated for him. He just watched sports all day. But the way she said it was weird. Like she missed how simple he was. Then I started noticing she was always on her phone. Like always. During dinner, while watching TV. Even when we were trying to plan wedding stuff. She'd get these texts and turn her phone away real quick if I walked by. I'm not usually the jealous type, but something felt off. One night she fell asleep on the couch while watching a movie, and her phone lit up. It was just for a second, but that was all it took. Tom. My stomach dropped. The message preview flashed across the screen. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Before it disappeared. My brain latched onto every detail. The way his name sat so casually on her screen. How could she still have his number while we are engaged? The emoji, small and harmless, but suddenly full of meaning I didn't want to unpack. I tried to breathe, to tell myself it could be innocent. Maybe she was just meeting an old friend. Maybe it was about the wedding. But my gut twisted, telling me what my brain refused to accept. After that, I started paying more attention. Where she went, how long she was gone. The little inconsistencies in her stories. She kept saying she had all these wedding planning meetings with her bridesmaids, but something wasn't adding up. So one day, I decided to follow her. I felt ridiculous doing it, like some paranoid boyfriend in a bad movie. But I needed to know, needed to see for myself. She pulled into a coffee shop downtown, parked, and walked inside. No bridesmaids, no wedding planners, just him. Tom was already there, waiting for her at a table near the window. I stayed outside, standing by a lamppost like some shadow in the night. My heart pounded in my ears as I watched them. They weren't just talking. They weren't just catching up. They looked comfortable, familiar, like two people with history, like two people who'd been doing this for a while. She laughed at something he said, tilting her head in that way she always did when she was flirting, twisting a strand of hair around her finger, flashing that easy, intimate smile that used to be reserved for me. I felt sick. My hands clenched into fists. I wanted to burst through the door, call her out right there in front of everyone, but I couldn't move, I just stood there, watching through the window like some idiot who didn't see this coming, like a fool who thought he was marrying the love of his life, when in reality, she was already slipping away. I didn't confront her when she came back. Maybe I should have, but I wanted to see how far this would go. Over the next few weeks, I noticed more stuff. She'd say she was going dress shopping with her mom, but her mom would call me asking about wedding details during that exact time. She'd claim she had late meetings at work, but her co-worker, who I'm friends with, mentioned she'd left early that day. Her bridesmaids were acting weird too. They'd give me these looks whenever wedding stuff came up, like they knew something I didn't. They'd be whispering and then shut up real quick when I walked by. All except one of her friends. I'll call her Jen. She's this quiet bridesmaid who works at my company. She always seemed uncomfortable when the other bridesmaids were giggling about something. I remember this one time we were at the wedding venue doing some planning, and Amy was going on about how Tom could never afford a place like this, how he still lived in his college apartment with roommates. But she had this weird tone, almost like she thought it was cute. Then she looked at me and said, "That's why you're so much better, babe. You've got actual ambition." Tom was just simple. But the way she said simple, it was like she was remembering something nice. Jen pulled me aside that day, looking really nervous. She started saying something like, "Look, there's something you should..." But Amy came back right then, and Jen just walked away real quick. The final straw was when I overheard Amy on the phone in our backyard. She thought I was at work, but I'd come home early with a headache. She was laughing about something and said, "Yeah, he has no idea. He thinks I'm at wedding planning meetings." Then she saw me through the window and hung up super fast, tried to play it off like she was talking to her sister about a surprise for me. I knew right then our relationship was over, even before I knew exactly what was going on with her and Tom. Before I found out about her stupid prank plans, before any of the wedding day stuff, I knew we were done. The trust was just gone. But here's the thing. I didn't say anything. Call me petty, but I wanted to see what she was planning. All these secret meetings, all these weird comments about Tom, all these giggly bridesmaids, something was coming. And with the way Amy loved her pranks, I had a feeling it was going to be something big. I just didn't expect it to be what it was. Looking back, maybe I should have just confronted her. Maybe I should have called off the wedding right then. But honestly, I'm glad I didn't. So there I was, about 3 weeks before the wedding, sitting in my car outside that coffee shop where Amy was meeting Tom again, and I just knew I needed to do something. I'm not usually the type to plan ahead, Honestly, Amy was always the planner in our relation, but something in my gut was screaming that I needed backup. I called my buddy Mike. Now Mike's this corporate lawyer who's always telling these crazy stories about divorce cases he's worked on. We went to college together, and he's seen Amy's pranks firsthand. Like this one time at his birthday party, where she pretended to be a singing telegram person and embarrassed him in front of his whole law firm. He never really liked her after that. So I called him while watching Amy laugh at whatever Tom's saying. Dude, I need help. I think Amy's planning something for the wedding, and it's not gonna be good. Mike was quiet for a minute, then goes, "Come to my office, now." I'll never forget sitting in his fancy office while he just listened to everything. When I finished, he looked at me real serious and said, "We need insurance." Then he pulled out this legal pad and started writing. "Look," he said, "I can't stop her from whatever she's planning, but we can make sure she regrets it if she tries anything." We spent like 4 hours in his office, drafting this completely fake prenup. Mike said it wouldn't hold up in court for even 5 minutes, but it looked super official. Had all these fancy legal words that I didn't even understand. The important part was this specific clause about public humiliation. I still have a photo of it on my phone. If either party engages in deliberate public embarrassment or humiliation of the other party before the signing of this contract, all jointly planned financial obligations will be immediately nullified, and the offending party must issue a public apology. Mike even put in all these detailed definitions of what counts as public humiliation and financial obligation. Added some fake case law references too. Made it look like one of those 50-page contracts nobody ever reads. The best part? He put this official-looking stamp on it and had his secretary notarize it just to make it look more legit. Amy always just signed whatever was put in front of her. She even admitted once she never read her own apartment lease. Mike said she'd never know it was fake. I kept the prenup in this black folder and gave it to my best man Dan to hold on to. Told him to keep it with him during the wedding just in case. Dan thought I was being paranoid, but he's known me since we were kids and could tell how worried I was. The whole time we were doing this, I felt kind of guilty. Like maybe I was going too far? Maybe I was just being paranoid? But then I'd remember how Amy was still meeting Tom behind my back, still lying about where she was going, still acting weird with her bridesmaids. And I didn't plan to use it unless something pops up during the wedding. Jen, the bridesmaid from my work, actually came to my office one day looking super nervous. She started saying something about how she couldn't keep quiet anymore, but then Amy called her phone right at that moment. The look on Jen's face when she saw Amy's name pop up, I knew whatever was coming wasn't good. I also started noticing more stuff at home. Amy was having these long phone calls in the bathroom with the shower running. She'd close her laptop super fast when I walked into the room. One time I saw her deleting text messages when she thought I was sleeping. The weird thing was, she was also being extra nice sometimes, like randomly bringing home my favorite takeout or suggesting we watch my favorite movies. Looking back, I think she was feeling guilty, or maybe she was just trying to throw me off. I don't know. I remember the night before the wedding, sitting in my parents' house. Amy insisted we do the whole not seeing each other before the wedding thing. Looking at that black folder with the prenup, part of me hoped I'd never need to. Like maybe I was wrong about everything. Maybe Amy really was just planning some silly surprise. My mom came in and saw me staring at the folder. She didn't know what was in it, but she could tell something was wrong. She sat down next to me and said, "You know you don't have to go through with this if you're not sure." I just told her everything was fine. I'd put the folder in Dan's bag that night, told him to keep it close during the ceremony. He made this joke about how it was like in the movies, where someone always objects at the wedding, but neither of us was laughing. The whole time I was getting ready the next morning, I kept thinking about that folder, hoping I wouldn't need it, but also feeling weirdly calm knowing it was there, just in case. The morning of the wedding was actually perfect. Like, weirdly perfect. Everything at the venue looked amazing. All the decorations were exactly how Amy wanted them. The whole time I was getting ready with my groomsmen, I kept thinking maybe I was wrong about everything. Maybe I was just being paranoid. Dan, my best man, kept checking on the folder like it was his job. He'd pat his bag every few minutes, making sure it was still there. My other groomsmen thought he was checking for the rings and kept making fun of him for being so nervous. My mom was already crying before the ceremony even started. Happy tears, she thought. My dad kept straightening my tie, even though it was fine. Looking back now, I think they both knew something was off, but didn't want to say anything. I remember standing at the altar, watching everyone take their seats. Amy's bridesmaids were all giggling and whispering to each other. All except Jen, who looked like she was about to throw up. She wouldn't even look at me. Then the music started playing and everyone stood up. Amy walked in with her dad, and honestly, she looked beautiful. Like, actually perfect. Which just made everything that happened next so much worse. The ceremony started normal. The priest was doing his thing, talking about love and commitment and all that. I was actually starting to feel stupid about having that prenup in Dan's bag. Then we got to the vows. Right before we were supposed to say our vows, Amy did this thing where she grabbed the mic from the priest. He looked super confused, but she just gave him this big smile like, "Don't worry about it." Then she says, all excited like she's hosting a game show or something, "I have a little surprise for my wonderful soon-to-be husband." My stomach just dropped. Dan immediately put his hand on his bag where the folder was. I saw my dad sit up straighter in his seat. Amy turns to face all our guests with this huge smile and goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to the real love of my life." The doors at the back of the venue open, and in walks the gentleman Tom, like he was in some kind of movie or something, just strolling down the aisle with this stupid grin on his face, while everyone's turning around in their seats trying to figure out what's happening. My mom gasped so loud you could hear it across the room. My sister actually stood up like she was ready to fight someone. One of my aunts just said, "Oh no," really loud. But Amy wasn't done. She's standing there beaming like she just won an award or something and starts going on about how she just couldn't say I do without making sure Tom approved first, because he was such a big part of her life, and they'd been talking a lot lately. Then this idiot Tom actually walks up to the altar and claps me on the back like we're friends or something. He's got this smirk on his face that I just wanted to punch off. Most of the bridesmaids are giggling like this is the funniest thing they've ever seen. The priest looks like he wants to disappear. Jen's actually crying now, like full-on tears running down her face. But Amy wasn't done. Not even close. She pulls out her phone and goes, "Oh, and I have something else to show everyone." She started scrolling through this group chat with her bridesmaids. "Look, babe," she says, showing me her screen. "We've had this little pool going. The girls and I have been taking bets." I'm looking at these messages, and I swear my brain just stopped working for a second. These girls, who were supposed to be helping Amy plan our wedding, had been betting actual money on whether she'd go through with it. One of her bridesmaids had bet $200 that Amy would fake cold feet right before the ceremony. The other had $150 on me crying at the altar. Lisa had bet $300 that Amy would pull something epic, her exact words. They had this whole spreadsheet going, with odds and everything, like they were betting on a football game instead of someone's wedding. Someone's life. The worst part? There were messages from months ago. This wasn't some last-minute joke. They'd been planning this for months. All those wedding planning meetings? They were probably sitting around planning how to humiliate me. Amy scrolling through the chat, laughing and pointing out different bets. "Oh, look, Rachel almost got it right. She said I'd bring a surprise guest. That's close enough to count, right?" Tom's still there, looking at the phone over Amy's shoulder and laughing like this is the funniest thing he's ever seen. "Man," he says, "you really went all out for this one." I look around the room. Some of the guests start whispering. I can see phones coming out, because of course people are recording this. This is probably going to end up on social media in like 5 minutes. And Amy? She's just standing there in her perfect white dress, waiting for me to laugh. Like this is just another one of her pranks that I'm supposed to brush off. Like she didn't just destroy our entire relationship in front of everyone we know. "Come on, babe," she says, poking me in the side. "You're not mad, right? It's just a joke. Tom's not really going to object or anything. Unless ... She looks at Tom, and they both start laughing again. I glance at Dan, and he's already got the folder halfway out of his bag. But Amy's still not done. She turns to the guests and goes, "Oh, should I tell them about the backup plan? You know, in case he actually got mad?" That's when I knew. This wasn't just a prank gone wrong. This wasn't just Amy being Amy. This was straight up cruel. She'd spent months planning how to humiliate me in front of everyone I care about. She'd involved her friends, her ex, probably half the people in this room. I looked at her standing there, looking so proud of herself, and I didn't see the girl I fell in love with anymore. I saw someone who thought my feelings were a joke, someone who'd rather get laughs than have love. And that's when I decided, if she wanted a show, I'd give her a show. I smiled at her. The calmest smile I've ever smiled in my life. She actually smiled back, probably thinking I was finally getting into the joke. I turned to the priest, who honestly looks like he wants to resign from the church right there. "Hey," I say super politely, "do we have that table set up for signing the marriage license? I need to grab something real quick." The priest just points to this little table off to the side, probably thinking I'm about to make this whole thing I walk over to Dan. The room is dead silent now, like everyone's holding their breath. Amy's still got this huge smile on her face, but I can see she's getting confused. This wasn't part of her script. I pull out this black folder, the one Mike helped me prepare. It looks super official. I hold it up so everyone can see it. "Ladies and gentlemen," I say, using my best meeting presentation voice, "before we go any further, I'd like to share a document with my dear fiancé." Amy tilts her head like a confused puppy. "Wait, what?" I start walking back to the altar, taking my sweet time. My hands aren't even shaking. I'm just ready. "See, Amy," I say, real calm like I'm explaining something to a kid. I had my lawyer draft up a little agreement before the wedding. Just a small precaution. You know, just in case you ever decided to do something like this. I hold up the contract so everyone can see the official-looking stamp at the bottom, the one Mike's secretary put there. Amy's face starts losing color. "What the hell is that?" she asks, her smile's finally starting to crack. "Oh, just a little clause," I say, pretending to flip through the pages. "See this part right here? It states that if either party engages in public humiliation before signing the marriage license, then all joint financial obligation, like the wedding, honeymoon, and shared assets, are immediately null and void." The guests gasp, like an actual group gasp, like in movies when someone reveals the killer. Amy's blinking real fast now, like she's trying to wake up from a bad dream. "Wait, what? That's not real. That can't be real." "Oh, it's very real," I say, channeling my inner lawyer. "It also requires the guilty party to issue a public apology, right here, in front of all our guests." Tom finally stops smirking. "Dude, you can't be serious. This is a joke, right?" I turn to look at him and give him the biggest smile. "Oh, I take pranks very seriously, don't you, Tom? Since you helped plan this one and all?" Amy's starting to sweat now. Her perfect makeup's getting a little messy. "Babe, this is crazy. You're not actually mad, are you?" That's when I deliver the line I'd been practicing in my head, since I saw her with Tom at that coffee shop. "Why would I be mad, Amy? This is hilarious. It's all part of the fun, right?" I snap the folder shut real loud. I'm canceling this entire wedding. Dead silence. Like you could hear a pin drop from across the room. Amy's perfect smile just shatters. "Wait, what?" "Oh, don't look so shocked," I say, tucking the folder under my arm. "You had your joke. Now it's my turn." Wedding's off. The room explodes. Like, actually explodes with whispers and gasps. The priest backs away from us like we're both crazy. The bridesmaids finally stop giggling. Amy's face goes from pale white to bright red in like 2 seconds. "You're joking," she says, but her voice is shaking now. "Am I?" I look at Dan. "Hey man, would you do the honors?" Dan, absolute legend that he is, pulls out his phone, hits play, and hit the road jack, starts blasting through the venue's speakers. Some guests actually start laughing. Others just sit there in shock. A few get up and start leaving. Smart move, honestly. Amy looks like she's about to pass out. "You're not serious," she keeps saying. "You're not walking away?" I just grin. I literally am. I turn to my parents. Mom's actually smiling now through her tears, and Dad looks proud for the first time all day. "I think we're done here." My dad immediately stands up and starts telling guests the wedding is over. Always the practical one, my dad. Then I turn back to Tom, who's trying to slowly back away from the altar. "Hey Tom," I call out. "You like stealing people's fiancés, right? Well, congrats. She's all yours." That finally wipes the smirk off his face. Amy spins around to look at him. "Tom, tell him this is stupid." But Tom's already heading for the door. "I think I'm gonna head out, actually." The bridesmaids are all looking at their feet now. Some guests are straight up laughing. And Amy? Amy looks like her whole world just collapsed. "You can't just leave me like this," she screams. I stop at the end of the aisle and turn around one last time. "Amy, you love attention so much? Well, congratulations. You're getting it." And with that, I walked out of my own wedding. The next 24 hours were crazy. My phone basically exploded with messages and missed calls from Amy. Like, we're talking hundreds of messages. At first, she acted all confused, like she couldn't understand why I left. Kept saying stuff like, "It was just a joke," and "Why are you being so dramatic?" Then she got mad. Started sending these long messages about how I humiliated her. Ironic, right? And how she couldn't believe I would ruin our wedding over a silly prank. She even tried saying I had no right to walk out on her like that. But here's where it gets good. Remember that group chat where they were placing bets? Dan, being the absolute genius he is, had taken screenshots of everything before we left from one of the bridesmaids. All their messages about planning this prank. All the bets they placed. Even messages from months ago where they were discussing different ways to mess with me at the wedding. Amy tried telling people I abandoned her at the altar. Started playing victim on social media and everything. But then those screenshots started making rounds. Turns out people don't really like it when you turn someone's wedding into a betting game. The fallout was epic. Those bridesmaids who thought it was so funny, they started panicking when they realized people could see their messages. Sarah, the maid of honor, actually lost a job opportunity because the screenshots got sent to her potential employer. Guess they didn't want someone who thought humiliating people was funny. Amy's parents called me the next day. Her mom was crying, saying she had no idea Amy would do something like this. Turns out they'd warned her not to pull any stunts at the wedding. Her dad actually apologized to me and said he understood why I did what I did. Then the money stuff hit. Amy started demanding I pay her back for wedding costs. That made me laugh because I'd paid for almost everything. The venue, my card, the catering, my account, that fancy honeymoon she'd been bragging about to everyone, all booked under my name. One phone call to each place and it was all canceled. The venue manager was actually super understanding. Said he'd seen some crazy wedding stuff, but this was a new one. The honeymoon cancellation hit her hard. She'd already posted all over social media about our amazing 2 weeks in Hawaii. Had to explain to everyone why she wasn't posting beach pictures. Her bridesmaids started distancing themselves real quick. Funny how fast people disappear when they realize they're going down with you. Even the ones who were in on the whole thing suddenly didn't want anything to do with her. Tom ghosted her completely. Wouldn't answer her calls or texts. Guess he didn't find it so funny anymore when people started asking him why he thought ruining someone's wedding was okay. Her friend, Jen, finally told me everything, and man, I could see the guilt weighing on her. She wasn't like the others. She never laughed at Amy's pranks, never joined in on the group chats, never once thought humiliating someone was funny. She admitted she'd known about the plan for weeks, but felt trapped, torn between speaking up and risking Amy turning on her. She told me how she'd tried to warn Amy, begged her to call it off, but Amy just brushed her off, saying it would be hilarious to see my reaction. Tom, of course, had no problem playing along, probably thought it made him look cool or something. But Jen? She hated every second of it. She told me she barely slept the night before the wedding, sick with anxiety, knowing what was coming. And when she saw me standing at the altar, oblivious to the setup, she said she wanted to scream, to stop it before it happened, but she froze. As she talked, her voice was quiet, full of regret, like she thought I'd hate her for not doing it. But for the first time in months, I saw something I hadn't seen in a long time. Actual common sense. Someone who didn't just go along with the crowd. Someone who cared about how people felt. And honestly, that stuck with me more than the whole wedding disaster ever did. A week after everything, Amy showed up at my apartment, looking like she hadn't slept in days, still wearing her engagement ring. Started crying about how sorry she was, how she never meant for things to go this far, how she still loved me, and we could fix this. I just handed her an envelope. Inside was an invitation to a fake wedding rehearsal, same venue, same time as our wedding was supposed to be. The guest list? Everyone who saw her little prank. No groom's name. Just a note saying, "Now we're even." She stood there reading it like 5 times before she got it. When she looked up, I just shut the door in her face. Remember all those phones recording at the wedding? Yeah, clips started showing up online. People started calling her the bride who got left as a joke. Her own prank turned into a meme. Some of Amy's friends tried defending her online, saying I should have taken the joke better. But then more screenshots would appear, showing how long they'd planned this, how much money they bet, all the mean things they said about me in their group chat. Amy tried reaching out through mutual friends, saying she'd learned her lesson, but every time someone showed me her messages, they'd end up seeing the screenshots too. Pretty soon, she ran out of people willing to speak up for her. It's been 6 months since the wedding that never was, and Amy never really bounced back. She kept trying to claw her way back into my life, sending messages about how she could fix everything if I just gave her another chance. Like chances were some unlimited resource she hadn't already burned through with every one of her stupid pranks. But I was done. Her bridesmaids, the same ones who laughed along with her, didn't stick around either. Sarah, the ex-maid of honor, even sent this long-winded apology about how she should have warned me and felt awful about what happened. Too little, too late. Turns out when the joke's over and the audience leaves, the one who played the fool is the only one left standing in the mess. Tom? He blocked Amy on everything and started telling people he was manipulated into the whole thing. Last I heard, he moved back to his hometown and works at his dad's store now. Guess the simple life wasn't so bad after all. Amy's parents are still apologizing every time they run into my family. Her mom sent me a Christmas card saying she thinks about that day all the time and wishes she'd seen the signs earlier. Her dad actually helped me sell the house Amy and I were going to move into. But here's the weird part. Something good actually came out of this whole mess. Jen and I started getting coffee sometimes. Just talking, you know? Turns out Jen had liked me for a while, but obviously never said anything because I was with Amy. We started hanging out more. Nothing serious at first, just lunch breaks at work, maybe grabbing dinner sometimes. She's different from Amy in every way possible. Quiet, kind, thinks about other people's feeling. Never try to make jokes at someone else's expense. 3 months after the wedding that wasn't, we started dating officially. My parents love her. Even my sister, who hated Amy from day one, thinks Jen's perfect for me. Amy found out about us through mutual friends and tried starting drama online, saying Jen stole me from her and that she planned this to happen. Nobody believed her. The screenshots of her planning to humiliate me with her ex kind of killed any sympathy people might have had. Speaking of Amy, She's still trying to fix her reputation. She made this long public apology on Facebook about how she's grown and learned from her mistakes. Then 2 days later, she was in my company's parking lot, trying to confront Jen. Security had to escort her out. My life's actually better now. Got promoted at work. A real one this time, not the one Amy made fun of. Moved into a new apartment in a better part of town. Jen and I are taking things slow. We went on vacation last month. Just a small beach trip. Nothing fancy. But it was nice being with someone who didn't feel the need to post every second of it on social media or turn everything into a joke. And oh, I still have the prenup folder. Mike, my lawyer friend, framed it and gave it to me as a birthday present. It's hanging in my home office now. Jen thinks it's hilarious. My friends say I dodged a bullet. I think I dodged a whole firing squad. Sometimes I look at old pictures of me and Amy and can't believe I didn't see what was coming. But you know what they say. When you're wearing rose-colored glasses, red flags just look like flags. The weirdest part? I'm actually grateful it happened. If Amy hadn't shown her true colors that day, I might have married her might have spent years dealing with her pranks and jokes and never known she was meeting up with Tom behind my back. Instead, I'm with someone who respects me. Someone who thinks love isn't about pranks or social media likes or humiliating your partner for laughs. So yeah, that's where everyone ended up. Amy's still single and living with her parents. Tom's back in his hometown. The bridesmaids scattered to different states. And me? I'm actually happy. Turns out sometimes the worst day of your life can lead to the best things happening.